Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Queen Aditya, consultant gynecologist working in Kolkata. Immunity is our ability to fight against enemies. So enemies in our system are mostly all the kinds of infections. So being able to, because you know what happens, virus, bacteria, everything is everywhere. Like right now the corona COVID virus is everywhere. But unfortunately only those people who are falling prey to it whose immunity is poor. Suppose there are three people in a row and the same virus, they are exposed to the same. The person with the maximum amount of immunity, that is the ability to fight that virus or fight the enemy, that person is going to emerge victorious. And the person who has less amount of immunity is going to fall prey to it. So the target of that virus is to attack us. But it's a sword, and the way you fight back, the way you protect yourself, your defense. So basically, it is your ability to fight the enemy, and it is your first line of defense. Basically, the body's defense is your immunity to steer clear of these infections as much as possible. So there are two. But this is basically immunity. Nowadays, immunity is very highly talked about because of the COVID situation, and because we are all recommending that boost your immunity. So the things that actually help us boost our immunity are vitamins, various antioxidants, vitamin C, vitamin D, all of these things. Zinc has been widely spoken about. These things are helping us to boost our immunity, our immune system. The system is very complex. Even for us medicos, it is so complex. So I don't ask me to talk about it. But whatever the antibodies that we can produce in our body, our lymphocytes, all of those cells that take part in our immunity, they get boosted by these things. So vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, and all the antioxidants and vitamins. So I would request and recommend all to try to improve your immunity by taking the foods that contain these kind of things. If your food is lacking all of this, then you please go for supplements. And lactobacillus is also something that is spoken about that improves our immunity. And especially when I'm talking about women's health, then it helps a lot in the health of the female genital tract, especially the lower part, that is the vagina, and it really improves the health of that and prevents infections at that particular part. First of all, very sadly or unfortunately, now we are in the 21st century, but in spite of that, in many households, the woman is not even thought about what she is going through. And unfortunately, in many, I won't say it's universal in India, but even today, 50 years back, 100 years back, it was really pathetic. Though the situation has improved slightly, but still now in rural India, even in urban India, in several households, a woman is not taken that good care of. And it is, I'm being a woman myself in this era and living in urban India, I feel ashamed to say that a lot of women are really not taken care of. Now what happens is that the vagina has a particular pH. pH is usually, it's supposed to be less than 4.5, and if it is maintained at that pH, then it usually prevents the various infections. Once the pH goes haywire, then it is more prone to various infections. And lactobacillus is something which it's a good bacteria that we call. It is a beneficial bacteria that it colonizes the vaginal walls, and what it does is that the vaginal walls have a lot of the cells have glycogen, that is a glucose, one form of a glucose, and the lactobacillus eats upon that and converts it to lactic acid, and that lactic acid maintains the pH of the vagina. So, and now this whole thing is actually relevant in the reproductive years, that is from menarche to menopause, that entire time span. Before that and after that, the pH usually is not that acidic because this glycogen is not produced. It is usually produced because of the estrogen hormone that appears in the system at the optimal levels between menarche and menopause during the reproductive years. So we are mostly concerned about that age, and this lactobacillus helps our system, especially the lower genital tract, to steer clear of the infections. Now, if for some reason the lactobacillus is not there, we do not have adequate lactobacillus, How can it go? Suppose the estrogen levels are not the usual that it's supposed to be. As for example, in pregnancy, there can be too much of estrogen. In oral contraceptive pill usage, the estrogen levels might not be the usual one that we have in our system. So estrogen not only is required, it is required at an optimal level. So when the level gets hampered, too much or too less, then also the lactobacillus, the glycogen is not produced at the optimal level, and the lactobacillus can get disturbed, and thereby the pH can get disturbed. Thereby it can give rise to infections. Also, if we are taking antibiotics, heavy doses of antibiotics for some other infection, that antibiotic can also kill this lactobacillus because it is actually a bacteria. So then also we can fall prey to various infections. So these kind of things can happen, and thereby that lower genital tract is prone to infections, and thereby we need lactobacillus for our system, and we should ensure that we have adequate amounts within us. The 3 commonest infections of the lower genital tract in the female are, number 1 is bacterial vaginosis, which we very rightly mentioned. Then comes the vaginal candidiasis, and then comes trichomoniasis. So these 3 are the commonest. There are so many other, there are sexually transmitted infections and all of that. I'm not going into that. The common ones that anyone, like, you don't have to be a high risk, or you don't have to be promiscuous or anything to get it. Anyone can get it. The common thing is bacterial vaginosis. That is an infection where the pH gets disturbed. Because of this bacterial vaginosis, the pH goes beyond above 4.5, and it disrupts the system, and there can be discharge. It can be a foul smelling or a slightly fishy smelling discharge, and otherwise there is usually no other symptom in bacterial vaginosis, but it is a dreaded situation because first of all, the pH getting hampered, it causes higher pH, and that can invite other infections as well. And moreover, if a woman is pregnant with bacterial vaginosis, which is very common, this bacterial vaginosis can cause late miscarriage. Early miscarriage, that is within the first 1.5 to 2 months, usually does not happen because of this. There can be late miscarriages, that is 4 months, 5 months, those kind of miscarriages can happen because the cervix, which is very near to the vagina, can get affected, and then it starts, its function in the first 9 months, that is to hold the baby in position, that can go haywire, and thereby there can be a miscarriage. Also, later in pregnancy, if this does not happen, later in pregnancy, the woman can land up in a preterm delivery. Preterm because the same cervix is getting affected by that infection, and she can get into preterm labor, thereby giving birth to a preterm baby. And moreover, with this there can also be, in case there is not a preterm delivery, but the baby's growth can also get affected. There can be growth restriction. So all of these complications can happen as a result of bacterial vaginosis if it remains untreated. So that is why it is very important. And then second, we are coming to this is vulvovaginal candidiasis, which is also known as moniliasis or thrush. These are the other names as well. So in this situation, the pH is again less than 4.5. But what happens is that either because of pregnancy or oral contraceptive use or any other reason, or if we use a lot of antibiotics, that can reduce the lactobacillus, thereby we can be prone for this candidial or fungal. This is a fungal infection, so we can be prone to that. And otherwise also, if we do not maintain a proper hygiene, then also it can happen. So these are the things that can predispose. And then what happens in this situation, usually there is a cottage cheese kind of, or curd, thick curd or cottage cheese kind of a discharge, white discharge. You can often find it on your undergarments, or while washing yourself, you can find that cheesy kind of a thing coming on. Usually it does not have any smell. But another very big issue is that it causes too much of itching. So much of itching that a lot of women cannot tolerate, because bacterial vaginosis, usually there are not too many symptoms other than the discharge, so it gets ignored. But this, it is very difficult to ignore because it's so much of itching that a woman, her life becomes intolerable. You can't sit, you can't walk, you can't do anything. When you're working also, it's itching that bad. So usually in this situation, when there is a bacterial candidial infection, candidial vaginitis, then they usually do come to us. Very few cases that it goes unnoticed, but usually they do come to us, and then we have to treat them for the same. First of all, healthy diet is required, that all of us know we should avoid. Not talking about the vaginal health, just general health. First of all, I'm talking about. We all know what we should avoid: too much of fats and saturated fatty acids, fats. These are the kind of things we should cut down upon. Even the simple carbohydrates also give rise to obesity and increased BMI, and that again has its own problems, and those will again make you fall prey to more and more infections. So that is there. First of all, healthy eating. Now coming to lactobacillus. Earlier I had mentioned that lactobacillus improves the vaginal health. It also improves, as it is obvious, it improves the gut health, because that same lactobacillus is going to be throughout the gut, and it's going to prevent various kinds of infections that come through the our digestive tract. So that's that way lactobacillus is going to help both genders by maintaining proper gut flora. We call it gut flora, that is proper beneficial bacteria in our intestinal tract. And moreover, in women, which I'm more specifically interested in, it improves the vaginal health also. Now food, as I mentioned, the simple carbohydrates and fats should be avoided as much as possible. We should go in for a healthy diet, go in for a lot of vegetables, fruits, and all of that. Now coming to lactobacilli, which I mentioned will help us boost our immunity, especially the gut, because through the intestinal tract a lot of pathogens get absorbed. So a lot of them, though not the coronavirus, not COVID, but so many other infections come that way. So to improve the gut health, lactobacillus is one of the main warriors. And lactobacillus we do take as supplements, but it does come through our diet as well. And every Indian, I suppose, across India, any part of India, I think people do take a lot of curds. So curd is very, very, very good as far as the lactobacillus is concerned. It's a direct source of lactobacillus, and we take it, we directly have it. We don't need any other supplementation. If we can have adequate amounts of curd, buttermilk also in our diet, then that is pretty good. Otherwise, the other fermented forms of food that people across the globe take are not commonly taken in India, because so many other kinds of food, the Lebanese take something, the Mexican take, those are not the kinds of food that we use here, so I'm not mentioning them. But yes, the South Indians use a lot of fermented stuff in their cooking, like when they make dosa, idli, uttapam and all that, they use a lot of that lentil and rice fermented. That also, wherever there is that fermentation process, the lactobacillus will be there. And that is a very good source of lactobacillus. But unfortunately, we do not take it raw. We cook it, so the cooking process can damage a bit of it. That way, the best source will be our yogurt or curd. Second best will be those kind of foods which are made from fermented ingredients. So though a bit of it will get destroyed by the cooking, but some is still there. So those are also very healthy options of food. So that's all I can mention as far as our Indian foods are concerned. Non-vegetarian foods are obviously not a source. To all the wonderful women out there, as I mentioned at the outset, we should look after ourselves. We have all the rights to take care of ourselves and have a good life. So first of all, whatever situation you are in, you are your own master, and please take good care of yourself. If you have any symptoms that you might think might warrant a medical attention, please do not ignore it. Please do not sit in the closet. Come out and ask for any kind of assistance. Nowadays, if it's not possible for you to leave the confines of your home, a lot of us are available online. We are available on our phone. Telephonic consultations are now allowed also in India. Earlier they were banned, but now because of the current situation, it's very much allowed. So we are there at your service, and if required, you can contact any of us from the medical field, and we will be able to help you. So first, take good care of yourself, eat well, as I already mentioned, avoid the junk kind of foods. Once in a while, just for kicks is fine, but on a regular basis, going for junk food and all is not good at all. Eat healthy food, go for a lot of wheat, multigrain wheat. Don't go for the flour or maida. Those are the things. Refined flour is avoidable. Too much of rice. I myself am a Bengali, but still I'm saying try to avoid too much of rice. Balance your diet as much as you can. Avoid the fats. Avoid simple carbohydrates that can cause you obesity. Whether you are aware or not, obesity is a global pandemic. Alongside the current COVID pandemic, we are for some years really battling the obesity pandemic, and children right from the beginning, even with your own children, school going children, please look after them also, and put a tab on their, keep a watch on their eating as well, because a lot of cookies and this and that, chips and everything, the market is full of it, the television is full of the advertisements, and children are really very eager to have them all the time. So you have to, once in a while is fine, but all the time you also should look after yourself and your kids as well. Then comes to the COVID infection. Do not be afraid. Look, we are all living through it throughout the world, especially in India. We are in a very grave situation, we all know. But the basic precautions that we are supposed to take, we have to stay at home as much as possible. If your work compels you to leave the confines of your home, then you have to be as careful as you can. Try to avoid public transport as much as possible, because then you are in crowded places and exposed more to the virus. So if you have to, then take utmost care that it's not too crowded. Suppose public transport is unavoidable, then you just take care it's not too crowded. If it's too crowded, avoid it. Please maintain that. Hand hygiene, we all know. Avoid touching the face area as much as possible. These we all know. And use a mask. And use a mask. Another very important thing I want to say is that when you're going to work, if you have to go to work, then try to avoid eating, drinking, or anything, using the washroom as much as you can. And if you have to, then I think it's better you carry extra mask along with you, so that once you're wearing a mask, and then suppose you just you take it off, you eat again, you wear it, you can get it contaminated. And what we are trying to avoid, we can inadvertently do exactly what we were trying not to do. So if you have to eat, you're there for 8-9 hours, you cannot stay without eating or drinking, just make it one go. At one go, you discard that mask, do your hand hygiene, finish your eating, drinking and all of that, and then again, after washing and your sanitization again, then use a fresh mask. The same mask do not use after eating and or drinking, and try to keep that whole episode to only once. If you're outdoors at your workplace, then only once in the entire day. Try to, and whatever you have to do, go to the loo, eat, drink, just finish it off in those 10-15 minutes or half an hour, whatever you take, and after that start afresh with a fresh, if you're wearing gloves, and a fresh pair of gloves and a fresh mask. That is very important. So if you're out of home, then these are the things you have to actually look after, because if that very mask that you're wearing to protect yourself is the cause of you contracting the infection, then there is nothing more saddening than that. So that is something I think this is one tip I wanted to give everyone, because quite often we have a cup of tea, avoid all of those small chota hazri that we call. Try to avoid that in this current situation. If you have to eat because you cannot go hungry for 8, 9, 10 hours, then you just make it one go and finish off all your other things, and then start afresh with a new set of all of those. So that is one. So there is no point being panicky. The infection is there, all of us are exposed to it, but we have to take utmost care of ourselves. These are the ways I mentioned, and then boosting our immunity. I already mentioned vitamin D, vitamin C, and various other vitamins, zinc. These, all of us, we should ensure adequate amounts in our diet. If the diet is falling short, then we need supplementation. If we are having enough of curds every day, then I think that is good enough for our lactobacillus. If we do not, then we can go for supplements. Supplements are available. If you feel you are having an infection of the lower genital tract, because very often you can make out from the discharge itself, then if you can visit your doctor, well and good. In the current situation, if you are unable to visit a doctor, then you can go ahead, start taking these probiotics, because they are going to improve your system. And as soon as possible, you contact a doctor, because in case there is an infection which needs further treatment, then those antibiotics or those antifungals we might have to give you. And if you are pregnant and you are suffering from these kind of things, then we do not give you antifungals or antibiotics in this stage. Very few antibiotics are allowed. Antifungal orally is not allowed at all. We might have to give you vaginal wash which contains the lactic acid, which is produced by the lactobacillus. Then in that situation, probably lactobacillus spores are not contraindicated in pregnancy, but usually we try to avoid any oral medication unless absolutely necessary. When we weigh the risk and the benefit, if we feel that you will benefit more from it, compared to the risk that the slight risk that might be there, we might prescribe. But usually in pregnancy, we refrain from too many kind of medication. If anything is required, we will give you the local variant, either a wash or the ovule or capsule that is inserted, or sometimes gels are also there. So these kind of things during pregnancy. Any other situation, in a non-pregnant situation, we can give you oral medication. So if you feel there is a kind of infection, any kind of infection in the lower genital tract, please do not delay your visit to a doctor, or at least a telephonic consultation too long, because then that can worsen. So please look after that. And as far as COVID is concerned, you do not be scared. If I talk about scared, then I'm more scared than you, because we are exposed. We are seeing our patients regularly and we are more exposed. But there is no point being scared. We have to be brave. We have to follow all the precautions as much as possible. 100% following precautions is not possible for anyone. When I bring any grocery inside my home, I get so scared. I don't understand whether to wash that first, whether to wash myself first. I myself, being a doctor, feel perturbed. So 100% protection is actually not possible, but as much as possible we should do. And as I mentioned, if you have to go to a workplace, then please curtail the number of eating, drinking, those episodes to one, and finish off all the jobs, and then start with a fresh glove, mask, whatever, and proper sanitization. So these are the things we should follow. We all are exposed to it. We all are subjected to it, but it's our responsibility, moral responsibility, to protect ourselves from it. And these are the ways you can do it. So kindly help yourself in boosting your immunity, and kindly take all the precautions that are repeatedly being broadcast everywhere. And I also repeated the same. So please do take care of yourself and do not panic. And let us hope that we can overcome this horrible, unprecedented situation as soon as possible.